Okay, so first, I got a lot of questions this week. The inspiration video, as you guys know, was chock full of stuff, and so it really sparked a lot of questions. So instead of answering those questions at the beginning of the webinar this week, I had a feeling those kind of go a little long, and it totally did. Today, I recorded a separate video, and I posted it already on the program. It's posted right underneath where it says Review Webinar. There's a bonus 20-minute video. So feel free, if you yourself have some thoughts about or questions about the inspiration video, it might be helpful to everybody. Also, when I update the program, you may, if you leave your page up, you may not get that update. So if you look at the page and you're like, I don't know what Nicole's talking about, there's nothing there, refresh the page. And you may even have to refresh your page a couple of times. I promise you it's there. Just refresh, actually click the little circular arrow. That means refresh, and it'll refresh your page, and then it'll be there. And if you still are it's not there, email me, and I'll just send you the link directly. But I promise you it's there. If you don't see it, it's because your computer's just not loading it in. Okay, that's that. I also forgot to mention one thing, and that is join. I saw in the videos that I've gotten so far this week, everybody's using join, and I want to just clarify that the way most people sign in is correct, join. So one person joins, okay, join. And you can sign it without the non-dominant hand also. So you could say if you were in a really casual situation, you could say, oh, I want to join. You could do that. I want to join. But properly it's signed join. When many people join, many people joining is join, 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 join. And it's usually signed like this, join, join, join. And this isn't a casual sign way, it's actually join, join, join. This is many people joining. Now, if there are all sorts of clubs, and I'm like, ooh, I might join, 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 join. Okay, that's the difference. Yes. So one person joining many clubs, or joining many clubs, you can get involved in them too, joining them or joining them, you're going to use your space, use the clubs, or maybe, ooh, clubs, join, 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 join. You can do it that way too. So you're going to use your space, set up the clubs however you have them set up, and then join them. If many people join a club, join, 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 join. Okay? All right. Ouch. Okay. Let's go ahead and one more thing. Also, while I was reviewing the videos, I noticed some missing intent in there, and it came up quite a few times. And so I typically, earlier in the webinar, I was doing a lot, in the webinars, I was doing a lot of, okay, so paraphrases, what does it mean? And I've kind of lost that a little bit. We've kind of stuck to time, topic, comment, and I'm going to do a little bit more of that tonight because I want to make sure that we're really tapping into what is this person trying to say by saying this sentence. What are they really getting at? All right, so here we go. First sentence. It's natural to have a hard time getting settled into college. Okay, so when we are thinking about meaning, and that's the first thing that we should be thinking about when we are interpreting, what is this person really, why is this person saying this, what are they trying to get at, what do they mean? I'll do this first one. So it's natural to have a hard time getting settled into college. So she might mean that when students get to college, they feel a little awkward, they feel a little bit, it's not easy, kind of, I don't know, feeling comfortable, like it's kind of awkward at first, maybe. Does anybody else have a different take on that sentence? And if you do, it's completely fine, even though it actually would be cool if somebody had a different note. Okay. All right, so we have this idea, the speaker's saying when students get to college, they tend to feel a little bit kind of awkward and uncomfortable, okay? And so now we're going to put this paraphrasing, this idea, the concept, into ASL. So what's the time? You guys can sign it if you feel comfortable. You don't have to. When students get to college, they kind of feel a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable. But specifically, what's the time? Yep, when students get to college, exactly. So that's the time that she's talking about. So student, or what do I have? Yeah, student, tend, you could do arrive to college or arrive to college. Okay, so students tend, I'm going to sign it this way, walk in the doors of college. Okay, that's the time when students tend to arrive, to college. Okay, and then what we're saying about this is this idea of this discomfort, this awkwardness, this feeling of not being settled in. And that's the concept, this sort of an abstract concept that we have to figure out how we're going to convey. Okay, so one word I used was awkward, and I think that you could sign awkward. I think that would be fine. Feel awkward. That would work. I use this sign a lot. It's one of my go-to signs, and she happens to use it in the inspiration video. So this really works really well. This is the feeling of like, whoa, not really what I thought this was going to be like. Whoa, okay. So it's this feeling of sort of off-kilter, not so comfortable. Yeah. And when this is signed, make sure it doesn't look like this. I saw one video and it looked like search for. So make sure it's a 5, pretty strong, solid 5s. And it's like somebody just like taps you. Like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Whoa, you got me. Whoa. It's just like that. Somebody got you in the shoulders and he tipped you back a little bit. Okay. So that could work. I saw some people sign struggle, and that could work. Tend, struggle. So students, they arrive to college, they struggle, awkward. Any of those signs or a combination of them, I think all of them work well. I do like my go-to would be floundering, and I feel like I would do that even if I didn't have that in the inspiration video. I had a colleague when I was a new baby interpreter, a friend of mine, colleague, she used to sign this all the time, and I just picked it up from her, and ever since then I've used that sign quite a lot. Okay. Next sentence. You are often broke, and your massive crew of friends from high school is down to just the few that chose the same college as you. I realize that sometimes these sentences that I write are not the best sentences. I know that. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is incorporating all the things I'm trying to incorporate. So just sometimes you have to give me a little bit of a pass. Okay. So, you are often broke. That's the first phrase, the first chunk of meaning that we're dealing with. Keep in mind that we just finished saying feel, okay, that's the end of the last sentence, right? So if we jumped right into that, it works really nicely and smoothly right in there, okay? I know we break everything up, but if you were just going to go right through it, you could just jump right into feel and keep right on going, okay? Since we are breaking it up, if you want to make that an isolated chunk, it would be like something like tend money. That would be the only thing that you would want to add to make it a kind of a complete, its own its own standalone thought. Or you could sign often, but tend is a better sign for that. You could sign broke, but deaf people don't sign broke that often, at least not that I see. This is definitely a much more common sign for that idea of not having enough money. But this is not a incorrect sign either. Okay, so we have you're often broke, so we have money. Next phrase, we have, this whole thing is one chunk of meaning. It's a long one. And your massive crew of friends from high school is down to just the few that chose the same college as you. Okay? So when I say this, that whole thing is one big chunk of meaning, I mean that to be able to really sign that properly in ASL, you'd have to have heard that whole thing, meaning lag time. You'd have to have heard that whole thing to fully understand, oh, she's saying that, oh, back in high school, a lot of these kids have all these friends, and then they all go off to college, and then that whittles them down to just these few that are left. So it's a kind of a complicated thing that you have to kind of have a lot of lag time for. So similar to what I was just kind of signing, after we just signed money, lacking, okay, not enough, then we have, again, time. What's the time in this chunk? Before, and technically high school could be the sign, it could be a time too. So you could sign before high school, like pass in high school, or you could just sign high school, either one of those works, okay? I like the habit of signing before because we have a tendency to omit that, but just so you know, in this case, either one of those could be just the time. So we have high school, okay, and then friends, and how are we going to say massive crew of friends, that concept? Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing this. Okay, and that totally works. That totally works. Okay. Another option, and clearly not the popular one, could be signing friends this. Friends this. You had tons of friends, lots and lots of friends. So when I'm envisioning the guy in high school that has all these friends, I'm seeing like this just sea of people around him, you know, this sea of people, even a pack, you know, like maybe the jock has a pack of people that he tends to walk around with. So that's why my mind goes to this sign first. So we have, and also incorporates that from the inspiration video. So we have before in high school, friends, okay, like this, lots of friends, okay? And then what happens to all these friends? You're in your senior year, what happens to them? Yeah, they go to college. So you could say these college, they go transfer away, transfer away, transfer away. Or college, they leave, leave, leave. Leave, leave, leave. And then what happens to these people over here? These people that are left, they shrink. Exactly, exactly. So, and then this idea of the ones that chose the same college as you. So you could do, arguably you could leave it just like this, and that idea of choosing the same college of you as you is kind of an understood idea. You're at college, you're here with, you know, less friends, it's an understood idea. But just in case you wanted to put something in there, you could put those people that are left, what did I do? Same college or something like that. Same, they're all same college. Okay, those friends, same college. You wanted to put that in there. Any questions so far? All right, I'm going to just really quickly do that sentence one more time, all the way through. So, money lacking. Before in high school, friends, college, they boop, boop, transfer, left, same college. Okay? Next sentence. But there are frequently campus events and clubs to get involved in that will rapidly expand your social circle. Okay. It's all kind of one thought as well. So we have, this isn't an abstract thought, so I won't go into the paraphrasing thing. What's the time here? Somebody sign it. There are frequently campus events and clubs to get involved in that will rapidly expand your social circle. So frequently to get technical, yep, frequently, often, frequently. And those of you that are newer in the program, you will see how often this sign is used. Well, you will see how often this very specific sign is used for the concept of frequently. You'll also see how variations of this sign are used to convey all sorts of different time elements. In fact, in this same video, not only did we see this, but we also saw this to mean in the time being, from now into the future, but not too far into the future. I'm trying to remember why she said that, but it was probably having to do with like how they're going to, you know, until this happens, we have to just, you know, wait, kind of thing. Okay, so we have frequently. There are frequently campus events and clubs to get involved in that will rapidly expand your social. Okay, so what happens frequently? Frequently what? Yep, everybody's signing it. So we have frequently, have events, clubs, or I saw frequently, school, the school, events, clubs, anything like that can work. Good idea to start incorporating space at this point. So after when we events, clubs, and kind of start laying things out in space here. And then so what we've said so far is we often have events and clubs, and what's missing in this sentence? Okay, so what's missing is that if you get involved in them, you'll get more friends. That's the last part. Yes. So I saw you involved. Okay. Friends, and then how do we want to say more friends? We'll get lots of friends. Yep, friends. Yeah, exactly. So frequently, here, events, clubs, you, involved. Friends. This piece is similar to last week. Last week we noticed that our interpretation was very concise because we were doing so much. Yeah, it was. Because we were doing so much depicting. So there were so many more words, and we could just kind of just boop, boop. That's the interpretation. Boop, boop. That's the interpretation. This one's similar too. I don't know why, but this, I think maybe I wrote it a little bit wordy anyway, but the interpretation is pretty concise for this one too. So the next sentence is, not all of them will appeal to you, of course, but you will see many that do. So we've already said events, clubs, and we have this now in space this way, okay? And so we can use this to convey this next idea. Not all of them will appeal to you, of course, but you will see many that do. So based on these clubs that are in space, how can you show what it looks like to see some clubs that not all of them will appeal? So we'll do not appeal. So if you saw some clubs that don't appeal, what does that look like? Yeah, there we go. These, some, nah, yeah, some, nah, really simple. And it could be done other ways too, of course. You could use a sign like some, or some, don't like, or some. Lots of different ways you can show that idea with just, you know, little to no signs. And super clear as a bell. Some, and then how do you show? But there are many that do. How can you show that? Yeah, so these, just like that. So keep going around. Use half your space for the ones that are, and then there are others half that you're like, whoa, yeah, or yeah, or yeah. Great, those are excellent. Something like that. So that whole sentence, not all of them will appeal to you, of course, but you will see many that do. I don't know how many words it is, but something like 20 words. We can sign that in like 4 signs, the whole sentence. Any questions so far? Okay. And in the inspiration video, she does something like that to show this idea of the comparison of interpreters. So she says, like, these interpreters, I don't remember exactly what she says, but these, and she just uses space just to show this idea of you will be able to tell what interpreters are not qualified versus the ones that are. There are lots of small groups that start up with a motivated few. People slowly gain interest and get involved, and before you know it, it's a huge organization. Okay, so in this case, what happens? So I'm sort of envisioning what would happen, like the whole process here, if this were really to happen. So what's the first thing? She kind of lays out what happens, how sometimes huge organizations form, right, on campus. These huge organizations can form. What's the first thing that happens in her step? Nope. What's the first thing that happens in her step? Imagine you're in biology class, you're in college, right? You're in biology class, and you see the makings of a huge organization right there in the middle of your class. What just happened that you saw the making, the seed just gets planted? What happened? Right, so students, right, students just decided they're motivated or they're hungry or it's students that started off. So sometimes students, what do? They get together, they're motivated, they're getting their hands dirty. That's the first step to this huge organization that could potentially occur. Okay? So the tendency with this sentence is to say sometimes small groups. But that's not what happens in real life. What happens in real life is a couple people are in the cafeteria and they're like, I think we should do this. Why don't we? Yeah, we should. That's that process. And then people notice it, and what happens? Yeah, they join, or they join, and then bam, that happens. Yes. That's what really happens in real life if this situation were to occur. So rather than following those words, really thinking about, we've all been on a college campus, or we've seen college movies, we've seen that whole thing happen. What happens? Joe says, oh my goodness, we have got to do something about the pollution on campus, or oh my goodness, let's create a Christian students organization on campus, or whatever it is, and then it gets started. Yep. Questions? Okay, so I'm going to just sign that whole sentence one more time. The reason why I voice while I sign is because with technical problems, sometimes it freezes, and then I miss a sign, and so just so you know. Okay. So sometimes few students, motivated, they get together, they're active maybe, or they're like this maybe. Other students, ooh, join, bam, happens. You don't even need to happen at the end. Yeah. Okay. The next example she gives, oh, it's not another example, it's just a kind of a addition. You may drag your friends into some clubs with you, and others you might want to go alone, which is when you really meet new people. Okay. I'm going to read that again. You may drag your friends into some clubs with you, and others you might want to go alone, which is when you really meet new people. Do you think that she is promoting one or the other? No? Why do you think she's saying, which is when you really meet new people? Just a comparison between bringing your friends versus just information. Okay, okay. Do you think that it's enough to sign, how do I want to say this? Okay, let's just go into it. Okay, so the first chunk is, you may drag your friends into some clubs with you. I saw a few actually, people role shift this first chunk, which I thought was a really great idea. So I saw this idea of, hey, come here, let's go, that whole thing, and I thought that was really great. Several people did something that or similar. So let's work with that. So we're going to do a classic role shift, which is going to be maybe you, or even just you. And I'm saying you, meaning I'm setting up who I'm about to become. These are the college students that are out there. So maybe you guys, come here, let's join together, that kind of thing. Okay. I also saw a few people sign this sign, which I thought was great. Come here, you know, convince them to come drag them along with you. Yeah, that's a good sign for that too. So you, come here, join together. You could do that. And then the idea, the other part of this is, in others you might want to go alone. So we'll stop at that chunk. How would you make that transition? We just did join together, and others you might want to join alone. What do you want to sign next? Okay, understand. It's necessary. I mean, that could work together. Understand. Yeah, that could work. It's not even necessary. You could actually just jump right into other clubs. You could do that, or others. Others. You could say prefer alone. Join. You could also continue the role shift. So you just, at what point you're like, yeah, come, let's join. And you could say, other clubs, you, prefer alone. Okay, and that would be my tendency, to just continue that storyline. Okay, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Sometimes my face is a little bit too expressive and it makes things look like I'm being demeaning or pejorative. But sometimes you just kind of, no, I prefer, do it on my own. Now, and then the last part of, which is when you really meet new people. Which is when you really meet new people. What do you guys have for that? Good ideas. Which is when you really meet new people. So we just did prefer alone, join, which is when you really, or join, which is when you really meet new people. So happen, new people, meet. That absolutely works. Yeah. The idea of new people is almost understood in the sign meet, so you don't really need that, although it's not wrong, you don't need it. So we could just say happen, meet. You could do that. And I feel like which is when you really meet new people. I feel like there's sort of a benefit that she's trying to convey there, and to show that benefit, you could sign this. So join, meet could work too. Like you can take advantage of the opportunity. Your friends are not there, so you could take advantage of that and meet all kinds of new people. Okay. It's funny because anytime we're in an interpreting situation, we always are dragging our own baggage, our own stuff along to the assignment. We always have all this stuff in our head from our own experience. And so, like me, I'm a single person. I live alone. I probably shouldn't say that on camera right now, but anyway, I do, and I do. I'm a huge proponent of doing things by yourself, especially as women, safely. But I'm very much that. I tell my other single girlfriends, just go by yourself. Like, just go. Like, you're gonna meet somebody. And so, because of that, you have to be so aware of not, changing or adding or skewing the message to fit this thing that you believe in your head. You know what I mean? Like, it would be very easy for me to go beyond just signing this for the idea of, like, yes, go, neat. That it's just very easy for us to bring our baggage into the interpretation. So just a little side note. Okay. There is a large information board near the cafeteria, so you can see what's going on all the time. I have another quick story about the last thing that I did, and then I'll go back to this sentence. So one of my favorite mentors when I was in a mentorship a long time ago, I should say her name because she's amazing, but anyway, I won't. But she once told me that she was interpreting a VRS call once with a child that was yelling at their father. I don't know, if maybe a teenager or something, yelling at the father. And she grew up in an environment where that was so inappropriate that the call made her so uncomfortable that she couldn't really faithfully interpret what the teenager was saying, because she couldn't go there. She couldn't go there and be that rude to this kid's father. So she ended up having to transfer the call because she knew that she just wasn't conveying it properly because she was holding back. She couldn't do it. So it's good to know our own limitations and our own issues so that we can, mitigate that. If you ever have a team in a job and you know that you're in a situation where you're just like, I know I'm not going to be able to do this thing good. So can we just switch for a few minutes while this works, and then we can keep going, kind of thing. Have you ever experienced something like that, any of you? No? Unmute. Let's hear it.
At RIT, interpreting setting, and there was one parent speaking. They were talking about how someone stole her from the library. And another hearing comment said, "Oh, people are," if you use a term that I'm not going to say, but it starts with a D. And I had to interpret her comment. I didn't feel comfortable saying that. I mean, it was the hearing person's words, but I just said it, and I said it's her comment, not mine. But that made me uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, in which I wanted to switch with my team at that point. I don't know how to do this. She said, just go ahead. And there was another situation where I had to voice the N-word from a student. The deaf student said that word. They were talking about, like, sensitive topics, and I had to voice it. I wanted to switch, but it just didn't work out. So stuff like that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, that's good. Those are all good points. Yeah, I mean, those kinds of things come up all the time. And me personally, I don't, most things like that I'm so used to that it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I don't enjoy it, but it's not, I can remove myself enough from the situation that I can just go along with it. I have had a few situations that were really uncomfortable that had to do with discriminatory things. One was a Muslim situation, and I was voicing. I think if I'm voicing, personally, if I'm voicing something because it's my own mouth, I think that's when it's a little bit more uncomfortable. And there were quite a few at VRS that were kind of ugly. But anyway, the things we have to deal with as interpreters. But luckily, it's not our words, and we can, you know, at the end of the job go, whew, glad that wasn't me, and move on and learn something from it, hopefully. Okay. There's a large information board near the cafeteria, so you can see what's going on all the time. So we learned last week that when we're setting things up, we have to have we have to put the large thing in the place in space first. So what do we want to set up first? Yep, the cafeteria, exactly. So the cafeteria, we can do this. We're really used to this right now, so we'll do this. Cafeteria, near there, or in that area. To be honest with you, I wouldn't naturally use this in this context, but it's fine. I would just point. The cafeteria in that area, have board, information board. Yeah, that's what I would probably do. This sign is used when referring to the structure itself. So the cafeteria, there are 2 buildings next to the cafeteria, and my next class is in the furthest from the cafeteria. So cafeteria, 2 buildings, boom, boom. My next class is right there. So that kind of thing. When talking about the structures, this is when this classifier is more frequently used. So the cafeteria, near there, information board. And information's, I'm getting really picky. I decided a long time ago that I was going to stop being picky about information because I see it signed information so often, and I just said, forget it. But just so you know, this is the proper way to sign information, double movement. Information board, so you can see what's going on all the time. And yep, I saw this, which is a good classifier. Keep in mind that this sign is slightly adding a little bit to this. I even if I were interpreting this, I still might use this because it does. When I see information board, I think of people thumbing up flyers, and so this I feel like works for that still. But this gives me the impression of a lot. And if this said there's a large information board that's chock full of information, or that's chock full of all of our events, or it's always packed full of stuff going on campus, then I would probably sign this. I probably, like I said, would probably sign it anyway, but it is a teeny tiny little bit of an addition. So how are we going to convey? We have this board in front of us. How are we going to convey so you can see what's going on all the time? We want to make sure we put the pronoun in there. So you, and you can do, you know, look at, or you, what do I have? Oh, I have you look at, you look at it and are made aware of, what's going on. Okay, that's one way to do that. That's it. So we have the cafeteria near there, have information board, and that's it. This is the fun one. Okay, just be warned that there are many people that want to call themselves a leader of a movement, but they are really a wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay, so I have to ask you guys, what comes to mind when you hear that sentence? Anybody just talk me through what you're thinking when you hear that sentence. Just be warned that there are many people that want to call themselves a leader of a movement, but they are really a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I can go. Do you think that it might be like they want to call themselves a leader, but really they're followers? They don't really want the responsibility to lead the group.
They want to call themselves a leader of a movement. They call themselves a leader of a movement, but they're really a wolf in sheep's clothing. Go ahead. I think a little bit differently.
When I thought about it, I thought maybe it was someone who's putting themselves up as the leader of the movement, but they're really just trying to promote themselves. They're not really interested in the cause, whatever the movement cause is.
That's what I was thinking when I wrote this sentence. Because we're in a political climate right now, so there's a lot of shady things we hear all the time, and shady people out there. And my thought when I wrote this was these organizations that might spring up on campus, but really the person who's saying, yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to do all these fantastic things, they really have ulterior motives. Whatever those motives are, maybe they want to get their name out there on campus, or they have whatever it is. They're not really in it for all this positivity that they're trying to, that they claim that they have. Did anybody else get that sort of from that sentence? I know Jackie did, but is anybody else thinking, or was anybody else thinking, no, I was totally not at all thinking that that's what that sentence meant?
No.
Okay. Let me hear what you guys thought.
I was thinking the same thing, that you have to be careful joining a group because the other person who runs the group has bad intentions.
Okay, yeah, bad intentions.
Nice.
Yeah. Bad intentions, not exactly what they seem to be. Yep, exactly.
I just thought they call themselves a leader, but they're really not. That's where I was going at, but it kind of threw me for a loop when I heard it. I was thrown off. I didn't know what to sign. I didn't know what to put out. So.
Yeah. Anytime you hear something that you don't understand, you're gonna be like, I don't know, because you have to understand it, and if you don't understand it, you have to create some sort of understanding and do the best that you can with it. Yeah, exactly. It is a complicated sentence and confusing, but at least we're 50%. We're more than 50% of us were on where it was. My intention was, so that's good. Okay, so based on that, let's see what we can come up with for this. So let's break this down. Just be warned. What transition do we want to use to start this whole thing off? Okay, so I see two of these. Let's go with this, okay? Warning. Okay, warning. Done. There are many people that want to call themselves a leader of a movement, okay? So similar to what we did with these organizations that start off with these small, just tiny, and then people, ooh, that process, let's do the same thing with this process. So if somebody wants to start a movement with, maybe bad intentions, what are we dealing with initially? What's the first thing that happens? Do we have a group yet? Not yet. Well, we have one person. Yes, exactly. We have one person. We're going to call it a guy because they're usually guys. We have one guy. Exactly. Just like we had the other group, and they were like, oh, yeah, we should. Yeah, let's get together and do this. The same thing. So you could do person, or you could say some people might. Okay, some people might. Okay, and then we have this idea of they're promoting this idea. So they are saying maybe I wanna change, or I want to see change, or what else might they be thinking? Something generic. You don't want to don't do too specific, but maybe this idea of, oh, I want protests, maybe. That kind of idea, something really general. So this whole idea of like, yeah, come with me and do this, okay? So this is this person who has this idea of, I'm going to create change, okay? And they want to call themselves a leader of a movement, okay? So they are creating change, and how do they see themselves? Yes, leader. Yes, I'm the one. I'm going to do this thing. I'm the leader. Yes. So you have this guy going, oh, okay, I want to do this, and then at the end, it's I'm going to call myself a leader. Okay. Then we had this idea of, but they're really a wolf in sheep's clothing. So what do they seem like? What do they seem like? I'm missing some of the signs. Sorry, Maureen. Yeah, exactly. They seem maybe care anything. They seem good. They seem innocent. Yes, it says seem innocent. What do I have here? Any couple of signs just to convey that idea of this is their outside persona. So seem fine, innocent, whatever you want to do for that, okay? And then behind, okay, behind, on the flip side, what are they actually? Hypocrite signs I'm seeing. Hypocrite. You could sign this, maybe taking advantage of. Yep. And I think those are probably your best choices of keeping things really general to convey this idea. Yes. So let's walk through that one more time. We have we're starting the sentence off with, just to kind of get careful now, guys. Some people, okay, and I'm going to go right into the role shift there. I want to take up change, protest. Me, leader. Okay? And then I'm breaking the role shift. Seems, I'm talking to the, so he seems fine, innocent, or whatever couple of signs you want to use to convey what their outward persona is. Seems fine, innocent, okay? Behind, hypocrite, will. Okay? It's a complicated sentence, and it does require understanding it, and I know it's convoluted, I know, but that's kind of where I was going with that. So there are some new signs in there, some new techniques in there that we can kind of play with and stuff. Have fun with it. And don't feel like you have to follow it exactly, because certainly to convey the outward persona, you could say maybe it seems like, that kind of thing, and then negative, this could be a good sign for that, like just bad intentions, like devilish, but not a good way to voice that. So a lot of different things you could play with for that sentence. Okay. I love, though, that both of the signs that I gloss, hypocrite and take advantage of, you guys threw at me. I was also playing with this idea of like maybe selfish, like greed, selfish. Another thing you can consider when interpreting this, when we start throwing out these signs as definites, then we risk skewing the message a little bit. But if we throw them out as maybes, then we're not skewing them. So you could say really behind, maybe selfish, maybe then it's not. Then we're not skewing it. So that's another way to approach that the description of this person. Okay, next sentence. So getting involved is great, meeting people is great, as long as the group is benefiting you and the school. Okay. When a group if you get involved in a group and it's beneficial to you, what are you getting from it? Like, what does that look like? Maybe this, I'm seeing support, maybe. I was thinking this, actually. Support, I see a couple of supports. Okay, let's go with support. The vote is for support. Okay, so we have, so she's going back to the point. And we could even sign that as I wasn't even thinking this way. You could sign this as the transition. Point, should, involve. I was even thinking about signing the beginning of this as me encourage you, like point, encourage you, involve. You could sign meeting people as great too. Meet, socialize, all those things could work in this sentence. As long as the group is benefiting you and the school. Understand is where I want to go with this. Understand the group itself should support you and support the school. Should support you and support the school. Or you could do even here, the school, or the college, or the campus. All of those could work. Yes, Jackie.
So why wouldn't we have used just sign for benefit?
I think that benefit is just as good as support in the sense that it's not giving us a real clear understanding of what that means. That makes sense? Like, they're both fine choices. Benefit you, benefit school. Support you, support school. It doesn't give me a clear understanding. For the sake of time, I wasn't really going to go into all of this, but that's not really my first choice as far as interpreting this. And I'm actually still cashing it out, so I don't have one. But my instinct is to do something along the lines of, like, I want to think, what is benefiting me? Like, I get involved, and then, like, I gain something from that. Like, and then what that looks like for the school, a group that supports this, a group that benefits the school, what does that look like? And I just hadn't really put my finger on that exactly. Maybe it is supporting, improving the school, not, maybe it's none of that, just that kind of thing, like uplifting everybody. That's what I kind of feel like she's trying to say is, you know, it needs to be something that's uplifting for everybody, not something that's going to be taking away from. As you can see, that really is, in my opinion, the way the interpretation should go. We don't always have the time, obviously, mentally, we rarely do, to quickly go, and that's what we should sign. But I do feel like that's kind of what her intention is by saying that sentence. So. But I do think that signing benefit you, benefit school is a fine interpretation. I think support you, support the school, I think is a fine interpretation as well. It's just not as, it doesn't really tap into her, you know, true meaning of what that whole thing, what she's really trying to say, if that makes any sense. In my opinion. Many people would probably disagree with that. Last sentence. But I assure you, if you do nothing, you will have a rough time this freshman year. The reason why I do go so deep into some interpretations is because I think that there are some interpretations that will fail without that. That sentence is not an example of that. But if we are incapable as interpreters to do that with some, you know, meaty chunks of stuff that come into our ears, if we are incapable of that, then we will fail in a lot of situations that we're given. So it's important for us to really flex those muscles and be thinking about, like, what is this person meaning? And if I sign this, is this really conveying what this person is really trying to say? In that case, benefit you, benefit school, yeah, it's not hurting anybody. That person gets benefit me, okay, I get it. But in certain situations, if we follow those words, we really will end up not really tapping into the intent of the message. So that's kind of my philosophy, and it happens, and I see it happen a lot, not just with mentees, but at assignments a lot too. And I've done it. I mean, we have a split second to go, oh, and then sometimes we just cannot come up with it, and so we're just like, that messed that one up. Let's keep going. It happens all the time. Last sentence. But I assure you, if you do nothing, you will have a rough time this freshman year. But I assure you. How do you want to convey that? But I assure you. I promise. I saw understand. I think that understand would be more likely what a deaf person would use for that transition. Yeah, I don't see I promise. Maybe honestly, that might be maybe a transition you might see in this case. So understand, or maybe honest. If you do nothing, you will have a rough time this freshman year. What does she mean by that sentence? You'll have a rough time this freshman year. What'll happen though? What is this rough time she's talking about? What does she mean by that? Maybe alone, maybe this, maybe this, maybe. I just saw that, so I'm just. Any other ideas? What rough time is freshman year? Maybe friend. She has been talking about friends this whole time. Maybe friend, you, maybe something like that. Maybe. Okay. It could be that she just means you're going to struggle. Maybe enjoy. Something like that. Okay, just playing with different ideas for what she means by this whole rough time. So, so she's saying, if you do nothing, okay, so how do we want to assign that idea? If you do nothing. I'm seeing a lot of people saying something about not getting involved. So you involved nothing, okay? I like that. So she says if you do nothing, but we know based on what she's been saying that she's really talking about this encouragement to get into clubs and get into groups and clubs and events. So yeah, if you involved in nothing, join nothing, none, okay? Then next chunk time, what time is she talking about? Yep. Freshman year will progress. Freshman year will progress. And you, what? Bored, struggle, well, maybe. Okay? Again, keeping it nice and general. I didn't want to say, like, not, because they still could excel without maybe getting into clubs. But fun, laughs, enjoy, struggle, friends, view, and she was talking about friends a lot, so I think that's a fair assumption. She's talking about the social element of things. Yes. Oh, yeah. What are you thinking? Questions? As I sort of said a little bit ago, there are times when following the English works. It works. There's times that we have to because we're transliterating and the person needs English. They don't know ASL, right? But English and ASL are so different that if you do an interpretation of a narrative And it's very similar to what you hear. Bells should go off in your head. They go off in my head like loud. Something must be wrong because this is really, really close. It may be fine. It may be fine. But there are so few sentences that really the best, most solid, most clear interpretation is that close to the English. So few sentences that most of the time your interpretation should look so different. It's a completely different language. It's visual and these classifiers, and we're using space all over the place. I mean, just the notion that you could sign something really similar to the words that you hear and think that this is the best, most solid ASL, you know, and that's always the goal. We're trying to get to really, really good, solid ASL. It's just impossible. And what I tell people sometimes is, if you hear something like, let me give you an example. I'm not going to have a good, but if you hear something, this is a good example. Can't believe, I can't believe. I can't believe it happened, right? So most people, if you, let's say it's a car accident. Oh, I can't believe it. That's what you're interpreting. Can't believe it. So if you were to interpret "I can't believe" in reference to a car accident to a deaf person, most deaf people understand the English phrase "can't believe." No harm, no foul, right? But to think that that's the best way we could convey that idea in ASL, to think that if a deaf person got into a car accident and that's what the first thing that they would say, it's just not the case. And when we follow the English, we're limiting ourselves to only those words. That's the only thing our brain is able to convey. Can't believe, can't believe, can't believe, can't believe. Whereas if we go, okay, so my tendency is not to sign the words that I hear, so let me think of all these other ways that they could possibly, I've come up with 15 different ways to convey the idea of can't believe, and probably one of them is, 10 of them might be better than, more clear, more visual, more ASL, more depiction than just those two words, those two words that we're just limiting ourselves to in English. So that's why, I mean, really, I like to tell people, play the taboo game. Challenge yourself to go, I heard those words, I can't sign those words, because there's probably a better way in ASL to say that. Even if that may work okay, there's probably a better way. Challenge yourself to do something different. It really opens up your mind to just a vast array of different ways to start showing things in ASL. I'm done. Any final questions? All right. Have a great, great week, guys, and I will see you next time. You're welcome. Thanks.